Welcome to the Cohn and Lowell Cohn. My name's Grant. That's my dad, Lowell Cohn. Usually we have mild-mannered, good-natured discussions. Today we have a heated debate about who the Niners quarterback should be. My dad noticed that I've really been pushing Jimmy Garoppolo out the door, and I just put a poll on Twitter. Half the fan base wants Jimmy Garoppolo to start, so we should balance the discussion. My dad seems to be on Jimmy's side, so let's debate it out. Dad, who do you think should start week one and why?
Okay. I say emphatically Jimmy Garoppolo should start week one. Okay. Of course, unless he's hurt. But all things being equal, he should start because I don't believe there's any way Kyle Shanahan can learn in training camp or in the mini camp he never had, or in training camp or in preseason games, who is better to start a real NFL game. I think it would be Jimmy has more experience. Jimmy, when he's well, has played sometimes very well. The other kid, there is no way of knowing how he'll respond. If I were the coach, would bring him along more slowly. And again, I think there is historical precedent on my side. Bill Walsh, who was a better offensive coordinator than Kyle and was a better head coach, brought Joe Montana, who was maybe the greatest quarterback who ever lived, brought him along very slowly behind Steve DeBerg, who wasn't the greatest quarterback who ever lived. So I feel emphatically that Jimmy should start week one. What is your counter argument?
Okay, if this were 1979, if this were any time before 1994, when the salary cap was instituted, I would agree with you. If there were no salary cap in the NFL, it'd be a no-brainer. It wouldn't even be a discussion. You would keep both, you would pay for both, and you would have two quarterbacks. With the salary cap, I feel like you always have to talk about the value of a player. And with Jimmy Garoppolo, he has experience. He's the fifth highest paid player in the league. He's the most overpaid player in the league. There is no way that he's worth $27 million. I mean, this is a year in which the salary cap has gone down, and most starting quarterbacks have renegotiated their deal to get below $10 million just so they can compete. Jimmy hasn't done that because renegotiating would involve an extension, and the Niners aren't going to give him that. So he's just expensive right now. And I really believe that it's extremely hard to compete to win a Super Bowl paying one mediocre player elite money. And I do consider him mediocre, Dad. I know he started his career 14-2. Since then, he's 10-7. His last 12 starts, including the playoffs, his quarterback rating is 89. That's Jared Goff. I think he and Jared Goff are about the same. And I think the stance you're taking right now, you can't move on from Jimmy, would be like a Rams analyst last year saying you got to give Jared Goff one more chance. No, I think we've seen enough.
Iggy, let me ask you this. By the way, you made very good arguments.
I tried my best. You came out hard.
It's great. And calling him a mediocre quarterback, I have no problem with that. I have no problem. I've called him serviceable plus.
Same thing.
I have no problem with that. So we're okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a money question.
Sure.
Are the Niners over their salary cap right now?
No, they're not.
Where do they stand vis-a-vis the salary cap?
Technically, they have $17 million in salary cap, but they haven't signed Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas, their top three of their top four draft picks. Plus, they got to give Fred Warner his extension, which they will. So they'll be at about $3-4 million in salary cap space when the season starts.
Okay, so I understand your very cogent arguments that Jimmy isn't worth the money and he clutters the salary cap, so it's hard to sign other people. But in fact, they have the money, they have the salary cap space, and they'll probably be able to sign the players they need to sign. It's not your money. It's not my money. What do we care?
Let me do my best to answer that. If they were to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and his salary and his money, I would say they could use that on 2 to 4 players that they could bring in this year who would be contributors and good. You could bring in a pass rusher. There's a lot available right now. You could bring in a safety. They just lost a guy to a torn Achilles. They could trade for a cornerback. So I'm saying if it's close between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, the team you can put around Trey Lance is 3 good players better. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, again, let's imagine the scenario that they get rid of Jimmy because they want to be prudent and they want to have all this money and freedom to sign better players. What happens if the kid comes out, gets hurt, or he's not ready? And again, they're not going to know he's ready until it's a real game. not a preseason game. So the backup to him is Josh Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
With a roster like this, you would go on a guy. Now, Rosen may end up very good. He's only 24, but he's a bust so far. Bust.
Yes.
And the other guy is really an unknown. You
Yes.
would trust that roster to a bust and an unknown? Again, I understand your points. I acknowledge them, and I think you're making a very strong case. My gut tells me you're wrong.
Fair. I just have a tough time envisioning a future where Trey Lance dazzles in training camp, dazzles in the preseason, wins the starting job, falls on his face in the regular season. That like the pressure of a real game totally crumbles him. Maybe it could happen, but what I've noticed the last 10, 15 years is the quarterbacks who can run around often have success early on. Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they seem to have success early on because while they're not really sure what they're looking at, they can outrun problems and create big plays. It's the pocket passers that tend to struggle early on because they really have to know what they're seeing. So I think even if he's not going to be perfect early on, but he's going to be able to do things that Jimmy can't do. And the thing is, Jimmy's not perfect either. There's good Jimmy and bad Jimmy.
I know, of course. And we make fun of him when he's bad Jimmy, and we expect him to appear. I have a harder question for you.
Sure.
We've both given our points of view, and they're contending, and each has merit.
Yes.
In real life, what do you think the 49ers are going to do? Not what they should do. What are they going to do?
I think they're going to give the job to Trey Lance if he plays well enough. I think if he plays well in preseason and training camp, that'll be enough. And I think they'll move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're going to hold on to Jimmy through the competition. But if they're having a competition, then there should be a winner, right? I mean, if they're having a competition in training camp, then it should count. And if they've set it up that way and Trey Lance wins and he wins over the entire locker room, the way that Colin Kaepernick did eventually with him and Alex Smith, then it'll be his team. I think but he'll have to prove it. I know you're saying preseason doesn't really count. They spent 3 picks to move up to get him. If he looks good in preseason, everyone's going to want him on the field, including his teammates.
We've already bet on this, haven't we?
We do. That's why I think I'm trying to win this bet. So I'm trying to basically push the Niners in the right, and maybe it's not even the right advice, but I really think it would be a very nice bottle of wine that you're going to give. You have great taste. And the bottle of the wine that you give me, I really enjoy.
So the bet for everybody out there, which I'm recalling, is we bet who's going to start game one.
Yes.
I'm saying Jimmy, and Iggy is saying Trey Lance. Do you remember what we bet?
$50 bottle of something nice, but I forget the varietal and the region.
Nice. Okay. Iggy, would it be okay if we don't try to win this argument? If we just presented our points of view and people can take them for what it's worth?
Absolutely. So let's just summarize. I think Trey's going to start week 1. You think Jimmy's going to start week 1. Yeah. And then if Trey does win the competition, you think Jimmy Garoppolo should stay as a backup. I think that's an expensive backup, but let's try to find a compromise here. If the Niners could get Jimmy Garoppolo to agree to a contract, to a pay cut, let's say, look, we could cut you and let you leave, but we've calculated that you'd probably get this kind of an offer. We'll give you a better offer. We need to lower your salary cap. You just lost the competition. You're a backup now. We'll give you, instead of giving you $27 million this year, we'll give you 12. And we think that's better than you could do on the open market. Would you stay? I'd be cool with that.
I would as well. If he loses, if the Niners really want to start the kid in the game 1, which I don't think they're going to want to, that would be a perfect solution. And I do think that Parag, I have misgivings about Parag. We don't talk about him much.
Yeah.
But I do think he's clever enough to do something like that.
And it's not the most outrageous thing to ask Jimmy Garoppolo. They've given him $90 million for about 30 starts. I mean, maybe he could take a slight pay cut if he loses the competition.
I love it.
Okay. All right, let's move on. I interviewed this Dr. Nirav Patel this weekend, and he was fascinating because he's very tuned in with the Niners. He's a fan. He knows what's going on, and he had really smart ideas, and he had solutions to offer. In particular, they should go easier in practice, longer, with more breaks in between, just a more leisurely practice to prepare the players for the marathon of the season. Do you think the 49ers watched the interview, and how do you think they took the suggestions?
Okay, before we get to that, I watched the interview with Iggy's mom. I was so impressed by the questions that Grant asked, by how the doctor responded, and by the journalism. You always want to move the conversation forward in journalism. Iggy got a doctor who could talk about these things and could give the Niners suggestions. If you haven't watched that, you have a treat in store for you to see that. Now,
he's the first person that has moved the 49ers injury conversation forward in 8 years. It's amazing.
It was a wonderful piece of journalism.
Thank you,
I was so excited. I called Iggy up to tell him how excited I was, and I retweeted it on my whatever. I linked it to my Twitter or whatever it is. Do I think the Niners watched it? Hell yes.
Yeah.
Now, did Kyle Shanahan watch it? I don't have the slightest idea how he thinks, what he does. You can, first of all, I think someone in that PR department is assigned to watch every one of your videos. Don't you get that feeling?
Yeah.
Now, if this person, he or she, had any brains, that person would have gone to someone higher and said, Grant's not trying to groin you on this. He actually had a reasonable doctor expert who has suggestions. Somebody in power ought to watch this. I don't know if that happened, but I sure hope it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's a real condemnation of their chain of command.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure they watched it. I put it on my YouTube. I put it on Sports Illustrated. It got pretty, I'm sure it got around. And I wonder if there were different responses from different people. I did a little research. What teams do nowadays to prevent injuries, they have a sports science department, and they put GPS trackers in the players' pads, and they know every single player, what kind of physical exertion they've done on that day and what kind of recovery they need. There's like a color-coded system. If they're in the red, they need to relax and all this stuff. The Niners do this. They have the GPS. They have all the technology. And I was looking, who's in charge of this sports science stuff on the Niners? It's Ben Peterson, the guy who's in charge of the entire training staff, the guy they hired 2 years ago from the NHL. Everyone said, well, why would they hire someone from the NHL? That's bizarre. Well, he was the head of sports science for the Philadelphia Flyers. And what he did that got him on the Niners' radar was reduce injuries. Apparently, the NHL has a higher injury rate than the NFL. He reduced them drastically on the Flyers. And you know what his method was? Lighter practices.
Just what the doctor said.
Just what the doctor said, which makes me think, okay, so they have the right guy in the building. They knew it. They hired him for the right reasons. It's his expertise. The problem isn't getting fixed. What's the problem then?
They're not listening.
They're not listening. Instead of maybe say Kyle, the guy who's in charge of organizing the practices. Listen to the guy you hired. This whole thing he did with the Flyers was to say, take it easy in practice. It's just practice.
And that's what the doctor said. They're doing too much in a concentrated period of time and too explosive. Now, again, I want to be careful because we want to be good journalists.
Yes.
We assume they're not listening.
It's a possible explanation.
It's a possible explanation.
It's also possible that the NHL guy's expertise doesn't translate to the NFL at all.
All of that. So Iggy and I are giving an interpretation, which is one of probably several interpretations. And it's the one we're pushing, but understand it's just hypothetical.
Right.
But Iggy, it seems like they got the right guy. And it makes you wonder if Kyle is so stubborn. And by the way, I think he's stubborn. Yeah. He's so stubborn that he gets the data and doesn't readjust.
Exactly. I mean, they have the technology, they have the data, they hired the guy whose expertise is to interpret it, and no change in the practice schedule, no solution to the injury thing. All the information in the world can't help you if you don't do anything about it. So I wonder if they took this information and filed it away with Ben Peterson's suggestions as well. Hey, don't call us, we'll call you.
I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one person who watched that video. Ben Peterson.
That's right.
I'll tell you right now. And he probably was feeling so validated.
Yeah. Ben, I don't want to scapegoat you. It seems to me like this is what you do. This is your expertise, and maybe someone's not getting the picture. So I hope that's not the case.
Anyway. And so, Ben, what we're if our interpretation is valid, we're asking you to be more assertive.
Yeah, stand up to Kyle Shanahan, and if he doesn't like it, go back to the Flyers. What do you need? This is just making your resume look bad. You're the guy who gets teams healthy, and you're now the trainer for the most injured team in the league. It's not helping your resume. So stand up for what's right.
Yes, that's how we feel, Ben. I don't know you, but that's how I feel. Oh, you got a comment. Let me see here.
We got a comment. Chris Royal says, Jimmy should start, and we can use the starting job to get him to restructure. Look, Jimmy, restructure and be a starter, or we release you and you back up someone for far less than what we will pay you.
Sounds good to me.
I like it, Chris. That's a very good outside-the-box suggestion. Thank you. All right. We got some more meta-journalism to discuss now. George Kittle. He calls me his dog. He seems very happy to talk to me when I enter the group press conferences. Sometimes he even demands that I ask him a question. So I thought he liked me. And I've been trying to reach out to him on Twitter to get him on my YouTube channel for an interview. I send him direct messages. His DMs are open. He never responds. I DM'd him a couple of days ago. Total silence. How do you interpret that, Dad?
Okay. I noticed that he was on something with Michael Silver recently. Yep. Michael, if you're watching, I'm not putting you down. You know, we're friends and I think the world of you. I'm just saying, my son has some juice also. And I'm glad that you were able to get Kittle. I wish that Grant could. And I think he just spoke to somebody else about this all the tight ends are getting together. Yeah. And they didn't invite.
He's talking all around the world.
But not to you.
Right.
So here's my potential. First of all, I don't like it. But here's my potential deal.
Yeah.
Either he feels you're not big enough. He's like, now he's a big deal. And you're not big enough for him. Now, you got over 32,000 on YouTube, and you got a tremendous following at SI.com.
Yes.
So whoever is doing the metrics for him is not presenting it correctly. That's one possibility. The other is his agent doesn't like you. We know that. And his agent told him, don't talk to Grant. And he's submissive and does what his agent tells him to do, which would be really a very bad look for that dog. And another is the way he portrays himself. Hey, dog, how you doing? Ask me a question. Is phony. That he really doesn't like you.
Right.
He tends to, especially when it's public, happy-go-lucky George Kittle. But in fact, he really doesn't like you, and he doesn't want to move an inch for you. So those would be my three interpretations. Each of them is pretty interesting. But I'll tell you one thing, Iggy, you're different from me. Mm-hmm. And I think you should be different. So I'm going to tell you what I would do. I don't think you should do it.
Okay.
The next time there's a Zoom call with him, you raise your hand to however you do. Hey, dog.
Yeah.
I would say, dog, you don't answer my DMs. Why?
Yeah.
Here's my question for you in front of everybody, dog. Why don't you answer my DMs? That's
all right. I have a fourth possible explanation that this is possible. He doesn't follow me on Twitter, even though his DMs are open. So when I send him a DM, it goes to a second folder where all the DMs from people who don't follow him go. And I'm sure a lot of 49er fans DM him. He may not even check that folder. A lot of times I don't check that folder because it's constantly getting flooded with people. Me and my 17,000 followers on Twitter. So it's possible he has no idea I've sent him 2 DMs. So what I'm saying is, instead of going DEFCON 3 in a Zoom call, what I could do is send him a tweet right now while we're streaming saying, hey, George, check your DMs. What do you think?
But he doesn't follow you on Twitter.
He'll see it if I do it publicly.
Yeah. What?
You think so?
There's nothing rude about that, is there?
Here, hold on. I'm going to do it right now during the show. Is that okay?
Yeah. Tell us what you're going to write, though, before you.
I'm going to say, at George Kittle. Hold on. At George Kittle. Hey, George.
I said, hey, George, paren dog.
Dog. Yeah.
Right?
Check your DMs. Like that.
Cohn, right? Yeah, well, he'll know.
He'll know it's me. Hey, George, parentheses, dog, check your DMs.
I think that's good. I like it. So we got something accomplished here.
Yeah, just tweeted it. So now we'll know. If he doesn't respond to that, then he definitely hates me. If he does respond to that, we'll see.
Now, I think in the meantime, I'm not one to let the grass grow under my feet. I would move on. I think Robbie Gould is good. So you got to figure out a way to get Robbie Gould.
Robbie Gould, I'm going to have to do publicly as well. He doesn't have his DMs open, unfortunately.
Okay, him. Yeah. And the other one.
Jimmy Ward isn't even on Twitter. I have to create an Instagram account to get in touch with him. That's going to be. So I guess it's reason to start an Instagram.
Our agents. Just call the agents.
Oh, yeah, agents. Oh, yeah, agents.
I want to tell you about agents.
Agents.
Would you remember agents?
Yeah, agents. Good call. Okay.
Secret agent man.
And please, people in the chat, would you let me know? I don't want to check Twitter. Would you just let me know if George Kittle responds? Because I just called him out. Jimmy wins the Super Bowl and buys himself some time. Trey won't start until 2023. Do you think Jimmy's winning the Super Bowl this year, Dad?
No.
Okay.
What I would like to happen. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I would like Jimmy to start, but I would not like him to finish the season. I hope the plan is that this kid takes over after the bye, whenever it is.
Oh, that's interesting. That makes sense. Just give him a little extra time. That makes sense. What's this guy saying? Does this make you a Cohn dog? I guess.
It makes me a Cohn head.
Cohn head, yeah. Okay, let's move on to our final topic. We've been going quick today. We have a light show, but this one we can take our time with this one.
You mean we had no other topics?
No, we combined the debates into one, basically. But that's okay.
Okay.
So I'm not hoiting. We're having a good time. The Pantheon of 49ers greats. The Niners have a Ring of Honor, and they also have like a museum, but we didn't decide who's in that. And I think we should. So we want to do an official Pantheon, a Cohn Zone Pantheon.
Yeah, Cohn
starting with Bill Walsh.
Let me just set this up.
Yeah.
The Pantheon. It's where all heroes are enshrined. So we want to have a Pantheon, a big monster building.
Yeah.
A lot of people can go in the Pantheon. They're the true heroes. Ones who don't quite make it, we're going to allow into the building. They're in the waiting room.
Yes.
And the ones who there are some who don't even get in the building and have to wait on the street outside.
Yes.
Okay. So what I suggest we do is that it's starting in the Bill Walsh era. We're not going to go John Brody and all that, because I was in New York and he wasn't born and didn't know about it. We're starting in the Bill Walsh era, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll name some names. Mm-hmm. You people are welcome to put names in that you want in the Pantheon.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the chat and throw in names that we forget, for sure.
You go first.
Okay. Joe Montana.
Bill Walsh.
Okay. Dwight Clark.
Eddie D.
Ronnie Lott.
Merton Hanks.
Okay. All right. Carmen Policy.
Eric Wright.
Wow. Okay. Roger Craig.
Oh, Tom Rathman.
Oof. John Taylor.
Steve Young.
Yeah. Roger Craig wasn't on the team long enough. I don't think he was.
You already put him in?
No, excuse me. I'm sorry. Ricky Waters wasn't on the team long enough.
No, he's in the waiting room. Fred Dean.
Fred Dean, absolutely. Yes. Brent Jones.
George Seifert.
Oh, absolutely. Patrick Willis.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Navarro Bowman.
Yeah. Oh, I'll put him in. He didn't have the longevity, but he had about 5 great years. I'll put him in.
Okay, you go.
Bryant Young.
Oh, God, I don't know how I forgot him.
Justin Smith. Not Alden Smith.
Oh, God, no. Not
Alden Smith. Sad story.
He's on the street. He's not even in the waiting room.
Yeah, he's outside. He's at the Spanish Steps. He's hanging out in the Spanish Steps. I've been to the Pantheon, by the way. Have you been to the Pantheon?
No.
Oh, you missed out. We have said Jerry Rice, by the way. We haven't said Jerry Rice. No, Jerry Rice.
You're right. We didn't say Jerry. How could we do that? Jerry Rice.
Would you put Terrell Owens in it?
Absolutely not. And I have reasons.
I wouldn't either.
Now, listen, he's not in, and I want to give my reasons.
Yeah.
But my question is he on the street or in the waiting room?
I guess he's in the waiting room.
Okay, I'll put him in the waiting room.
Hall of Famer. But he played a lot of his career on other teams, and the Niners got rid of him in the middle of his prime because he was such a disruptive teammate. He was better when he was younger, but I think he kind of became, I don't know, a negative force in the locker room. So I would say no.
He was a bad teammate.
Bad teammate.
Part of football is being a good teammate. Not only was he a bad teammate, he was a negative influence in that locker room. He went after Jeff Garcia after every game publicly.
Not to mention just him, but I mean the coaches too. If they ever lost, he didn't get the ball enough every time.
Yeah. So I'm reluctantly putting him in the waiting room. But if he ended up at the Spanish Steps, that wouldn't bother me at all.
Spanish Steps are nice.
I don't like him as a 49er.
No, okay, let's keep going. Frank Gore.
Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
God, yes.
Yes.
The tight end, the painter.
I would say so too. Vernon Davis.
I think so.
Yep.
I think
George Kittle's on his way. Give him one more year.
No. Dog, currently.
He's in the waiting room.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, if we put Bowman in after 5 years, it's kind of tough.
Okay, we'll put him in the waiting room, but he's not in full.
And if he wants to get in the Pantheon, he needs to come on the show for sure.
Yeah, we have journalistic integrity. If you want to be in the Pantheon, you got to come on the show.
How about Harris Barton?
Sure.
How about Guy McIntyre?
Oh, God, yes.
How about Keena Turner?
Yes. Randy Cross.
Charles Haley?
Boy, I'd say no. Waiting room. And I want to tell you why, for the same reasons as Terrell Owens.
Okay, fair enough.
He was a great player, much better player than Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
But I think at a certain time in his life, he had a lot of problems. And I think finally they got rid of him.
Yep.
In his prime.
Just like Owens. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, he's unfortunately a waiting room guy. But we have soft drinks in the waiting room. On Sunday mornings, we bring in bagels and lox.
And you can kind of see parts of the Pantheon from the waiting room. You can't see it all, but you can.
It's not a bad place to be.
No,
okay, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Steve Mariucci.
No. Waiting room.
Well, where does he go?
Waiting room.
He is waiting room material.
Totally waiting room material. What about Jim Harbaugh?
Waiting room.
Yeah.
What do you think, Iggy?
He's not a champion. You don't get to be in the Pantheon without. It's hard to be, especially as a coach, without being a champion.
Now, I'm crazy about Jim Harbaugh. I think he would agree he's waiting room.
Plus, he wasn't here long enough. 4 years. What about Jesse Sapolu?
Pantheon.
It's a lot of champions in this organization. Did we mention Joe Staley? We mentioned Joe Staley.
No, we didn't.
Joe Staley.
Joe freaking Staley. Yeah.
Not Jeff Garcia. He's waiting room.
He's worthy waiting room guy.
Okay. Yeah, not Alex Smith, not Colin Kaepernick, not Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, wait. Colin Kaepernick, I put him on the street. Spanish Steps. I thought he was a disruptor in his own way. A tremendously overrated quarterback. Never improved this game. Got worse and worse and worse. Where do you put him? I put him on the street.
Yeah, he had 2 good years. He was good his first year, second year. Yeah, I would say so. I don't think so. Nah. He's never got better. Never got better.
Waiting room material. I'm sorry. I'd rather put Jeff Garcia over him.
I would agree. I would put Jeff Garcia over. Yeah, if Jeff Garcia is in the waiting room, then Colin Kaepernick is. He's in. Did you ever go to the club and you're in the line out the door and you have to wait out the line? He's in the line out the door.
Never been in a club in my life.
Oh, okay, well,
I want to.
You seem like a club kind of guy.
Okay. I want to tell you someone we left out. John McVay.
Ooh, good call.
John McVay.
Executive.
Oh, and I'll tell you someone else we left out. Bob McKittrick.
Ooh, great call.
Oh,
Bob McKittrick.
McKittrick.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. This is a good list. This is I'm going to go back through later. We must have at least 40.
Okay, people. I have another one.
Who?
Kyle Shanahan. I want to have one after that.
He's not even in the waiting room yet, but he's 41 years old and he's signed through 2025. He could get there, but he's on the Spanish Steps for sure.
Okay, so what happens is he's outside on the Spanish Steps, Kyle, but there's someone with a sign, let Kyle into the waiting room.
It's true. Right? And it's gaining momentum, but he's going to have a winning season this year or else people are going to say, just an offensive coordinator.
Okay, I got another one.
Yes.
His father.
Yeah, someone just said that. Won a Super Bowl, but was only here for about 3 years. No.
Waiting room.
Waiting room.
Or Spanish Steps.
I got someone who's in. Mike Holmgren.
Oh, God, yes.
Mike Holmgren.
Yeah. And you know what? Dennis
Green.
Dennis
Sam
Green.
Weish.
Yeah. Those
Sam
guys
Weish.
were pioneers. Dennis Green, Sam Weish. Absolutely. You know, this is silly, but I'm enjoying making this list.
Yeah,
And
it's a good list.
it's sort of for me like going back over my life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I got another one. Another one.
Who?
And this is the only one of these people I'll let in. Ira Miller.
Ira Miller. I love it. I love it.
I got
Joe Starkey.
I was
Joe
going to
Starkey.
say, Joe,
Yeah.
Joe
Absolutely.
Starkey. I'll tell you who's on the street.
Who?
Street.
And I got to say the new one too. Whatever his name was, the Raider guy. Papa, dude. Sorry.
Well, he's still new.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
He's in the street, but he could soon get into the waiting room.
No, he's too Raider. His voice is always going to be associated with Raiders. I'm sorry. He's a Raider guy. He's in the Raider Pantheon already, if they have one.
Yeah,
that exists.
Okay, let's come back to Papa because he's a good guy.
Yeah,
Greg, we love you. You're
love
in
you
the
so much.
Pantheon, not Niners. Okay,
not Niners. Yes, we got DeBartolo. We got Hanks. I got
another one.
Who?
Jed.
Dad, I got a stat for you. Winning season since 2003 for the 49ers. 4. Okay. So Spanish Steps.
No, he's not in the Pantheon.
He's like one of those guys that he's a vendor on the Spanish Steps making hot dogs.
Okay. But he keeps peeking to see if the door is opening to let him into the waiting room.
Yeah, and he's got a very successful hot dog stand. People buy his hot dogs, so he might be able to parlay that into an appearance.
So currently, he's a hot. Now, can I ask you a question?
I got one more. More.
Hold on with the hot dogs a minute.
Yeah.
These hot dogs he's selling on the steps of the Spanish Steps, are they kosher dogs?
No, it's like, you ever see those ones by the Oakland Coliseum, like the hot dog with the bacon wrapped around it?
Yeah.
The bacon wrapped hot dog. He's got the bacon wrap. Well, I like a bacon wrap hot dog, but it's definitely not kosher.
Okay. Now I'm coming back to him. Is he wearing one of those little paper caps? You know, white caps like a chef?
Absolutely, just to make sure that he doesn't perspire because it's hot.
It's hot.
Rome is hot.
Is he wearing an apron?
I would say so, absolutely. And he's got like the long spatula that you can kind of like click down and make it kind of like you can kind of make music as you're flipping the hot dogs. He's very performative. He does a good job. It's the best hot dog stand at the Spanish Steps.
At the Spanish Steps right now.
Yes.
With the idea, he thinks if he does well with the hot dogs, not to mention the team, he might sneak into the waiting room, but not quite yet.
Right.
Okay.
He's the most popular hot dog man in Rome. Maybe he'll get some momentum.
Okay. Who were you going to go to?
I got one more. You.
No,
you.
I can't address that.
Well, I'd say so. Ira Miller, I agree, and you covered the team even longer than he did. So I would say you.
Well, thank you. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's it, though.
Is there anybody else? Okay, we got Joe Starkey, who's very important.
Garrison Hurst would be like
waiting room.
Yeah, maybe waiting room. He was very good. He was very good.
I'd say he's waiting room material. Waiting room.
Yeah, maybe Ricky Waters would be waiting room too because he was on the team 3 years and won a Super Bowl. Maybe Mike Shanahan is waiting room since he did that.
I have Mike in the waiting room.
Yeah.
I have Waters in the waiting room.
Not Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders on the team for 1 year.
No,
won a Super Bowl.
Sanders is on the street.
Yeah, Dante Pettis, AJ Jenkins. Those are some good ones.
Dante Pettis.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
We
thought maybe. Yeah, he's a street guy. He's a street guy.
I'm just trying to think.
He's the guy on the street that pretends he's like stuck in like frozen in motion and then he pops out at you. You know what I'm talking about? That guy.
Oh, I've seen those guys. I've seen it.
Yeah, he's good.
Human statues.
The human statue. Yeah, absolutely.
Human statues. Okay, I got another one. Could I get another one?
Yeah.
John York.
Okay, he's in the street, but he's not even allowed around the hot dog stand.
He's in the street, but
he's passing out pins to people on the Spanish Steps. He does that, right? Before games, he passes out pins. Yeah,
he's not allowed within 150 feet of the Spanish Steps.
Right.
And there's cops there to keep him away.
But he's just wandering around passing out pins. And then there's Denise. Where's Denise?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Here's the thing. Denise is wandering around too, but no one knows who she is.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, she's got sunglasses on and a hat, and you just would never know.
Just no one knows who she is.
Yeah,
She
owns the hot dog stand. She's in charge of the whole operation, but she's just looking at shops, checking out. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping someone says, "Oh, are you Denise?"
Yeah,
but no one.
Do you own that hot dog stand? No.
You own the hot dog stand. Iggy, you don't think they should have some kosher dogs too? Because let me tell you how I like it. Like if we go to Top Dog, I like it with that Gulden's mustard.
Oh yeah.
And I like it with sauerkraut. I don't put personally onions on. That would not to me be a New York style.
Do you have a life-size picture of Jed York doing anything kosher? He seems like a kielbasa kind of guy, like a bratwurst kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's like a bratwurst kind of guy. Yeah.
A calabrese.
He might be a calabrese. Yeah.
Calabrese.
I have to say so. Yeah. I like the Chicago style dog. Every once in a while, you know what I mean. They got the little different fixings.
O'Hare Airport. I always get one of those.
Yeah, I like those. Those are good.
Now, Iggy, have we done this? I mean,
we've exhausted all of our topics,
and people don't have more to say.
No, I think they're a little exhausted today. I don't know, people keep mentioning names. I guess fringe names. William Floyd, he got hurt. Dante Whitner, no.
Let me hear some of the names.
Ahmad Brooks, no. Anquan Bolden, no. Michael Crabtree, no. Anthony Davis, no.
Hey, that's your pal, right? AD?
Yeah, my pal. My buddy.
Now, listen, I want to say, for the guys who are not allowed into the waiting room, they have to stay on the street, it's not bad. First of all, they're in Rome. And Rome is the eternal city. It's wonderful to be there.
Yes.
They get all the free hot dogs they want.
Yeah.
They get all the free hot dogs they want. Plus, they get an Italian ice with that.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very nice. And they get to go strolling around the Via Veneto. They can, they're very wealthy guys. And Jed and his mother make sure they're well cared for. So I don't want you to think that they're in trouble there. They're just not allowed into the waiting room.
That's true. And the thing is, the Pantheon's kind of small. It takes some time, and not just anyone can get in there. But within walking distance is the Coliseum. It's much bigger. They can go over there, and while they wait, they can check out the Coliseum. I've done all this. It's a lot of fun. The thing that's cool about Rome is you'll just be wandering around, and it looks like an old city, and then all of a sudden the Pantheon will just pop up to your right, and there's signs for it. It's just there. It's like it surprises you, as opposed to Paris, where it's like you can see nice things coming a mile away. It's like you're entering the nice part of town. It seems very ancient Rome. It's cool.
I agree. I love Rome. Iggy, did we take you to Rome?
No, you sent me to Rome when I finished high school, and I took all those pictures where I looked nonplussed. But really, I was having a great time. And they have great pizza in Rome. They have nightlife in Rome. We did like pub crawls and stuff. Rome was my favorite. It was the most fun for an 18-year-old kid.
Did you Reggio when you were 6 years old?
Yes, we did Tuscany.
When I was 6. Remember when you were doing the bumper cars and you knocked into that girl? What she said? She got out. Remember what she did? She
didn't get out, but she banged on the front of my bumper car and said accidenti, because in Italy there are no rules. In America with bumper cars, you have to like go around in a track. In Italy, you could just go any direction, and there were head-on collisions between 6-year-olds, and that's what happened. It was very dramatic.
She was very angry about that.
East Bay Chris is at Disneyland right now. I was tweeting about my awful Disneyland experience. Remember when you took me there when I was 2 years old?
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the Pirates of the Caribbean. I can remember that. It was traumatic. I don't remember much from being 2, but I remember that first dip on Pirates of the Caribbean and looking at Mom like, are you kidding me? I'm 2. I was crying.
Iggy, do you remember when you got kicked out of the Six Flags?
This I don't remember. You got to tell me this one.
There was this thing that had all these little balls, and you could play in the balls and
ballroom.
But you weren't allowed to like throw them at people. And it was wonderful. And you got kicked out, but on the way out, one of the fathers said, "You're okay by me." I remember that.
So I got put in like timeout.
You were thrown out of the balls.
So you're telling me you guys all went to Magic Mountain to have fun. You put me in the ballroom as a babysitter, and I lost my privileges and had to be on timeout. That sounds good. No wonder I blocked that day out.
Yeah, it was one of the most traumatic days of your life.
I know. Jeez.
Now, Iggy, we
Yes.
seem to have wandered.
It's okay.
We wandered. Let me ask you one final thing about the 49ers. What is the schedule from now
on? They report in about a month. Usually report on the 25th of July. So the players are free to do whatever the hell they want to do. You're already seeing players get arrested. You see yesterday about two guys got arrested for speeding. One guy on the Chiefs got arrested with an Uzi in his car. This is the time when people, bad characters reveal themselves. This is the kind of thing the Niners haven't really had to worry about since Kyle Shanahan became the head coach. So right now, if Harbaugh was the head coach, this would be when we were on like DUI watch or domestic violence watch. But now it's kind of just like talk about the quarterback competition that won't start for a month.
I see. So now one other thing. I imagine that coaches are not allowed to really be teaching the players at this time. It's a hands-off period?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
So they can study on their own, but they're not like having Zoom conferences or things like that.
Right. And so what Trey Lance is doing is he's working out with this veteran receiver, Mohamed Sanu, who was on the Falcons with Kyle Shanahan and knows the offense really well. And that's how he's learning it, through a player.
Very interesting and good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart for Trey and also smart for this player who's a 32-year-old vet and a fringe roster guy. Hey, why don't you make yourself best friends with the future quarterback? Make him the guy he trusts. Smart.
Oh, you mean they're not just friends?
They're not just friends. There's not an ulterior motive for why he's down there working out with the kid. Yeah, there might be. All right, Dad. Well, before we go, San Fran 49er fan says, I'd like to say to Mr. Lowell, growing up Niner fan in the 80s and 90s in Louisiana, I loved getting my info from you, sir. Thank you for your work, sirs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. San Fran, thank you so much. San Fran.
All right. That's our show. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week, maybe at a different time, but the same day. Dad, I love you. Thank you for doing this with me.
I love you, son, and I'll call you in a minute.
All right. Talk to you in a minute.